Now that you have the rivets drilled out of the car, you can take it apart. Discard the windows, you won't need those. If you want to make it really realistic, you'll keep the interior as part of the vehicle, and we'll use the body as just the mold for the tinfoil. Next, cut a piece of tinfoil roughly twice as long as the car, wide enough that it'll go all the way around. For this, you're going to put the vehicle back together so you can get the mold of the grille, bumpers, and part of the chassis. Now just put the tinfoil over the vehicle and press it on tightly, as follows. As you're pushing the tinfoil over the vehicle, press in on the front grille especially. Not too hard, you don't want to tear the tinfoil. But by pressing in, you'll get a lot of the detail. It's okay if the tinfoil moves around a bit. Once you've trimmed off the excess, it becomes easier to make the final detailing. At the front and back, you'll have excess tinfoil which will have to be folded in. I'll show you how to do that. Once you have most of the detailing and shape of the body with the tinfoil, you're going to want to trim off the excess on the bottom before worrying about too much more detail. So just use a pair of scissors. Careful not to take off too much. You don't want to have any holes where there should be a bumper. So just kind of snip off big chunks until you can get down to the fine trimming. This will also make folding in the front and back much easier. You want a little bit spread over so that you can mold it to the chassis. That way the tinfoil body will hold to the vehicle once it's assembled. Now that you have all the excess tinfoil trimmed off the bottom, it'll be much easier to press in all the details. This Chevelle station wagon is a great casting for that because of the door lines that are already present, detailed taillights and front grille. So just go around, push in all the details until you can see what looks like a real car underneath. Now the challenging part, detailing enough by carefully cutting out the windows and fender wells. You'll want to use a very sharp and small hobby knife similar to this one. Make sure you don't cut yourself. And then just stab into the tinfoil, the upper edge of a window, and just basically follow the metal of the casting around. Remember, the casting is still under this tinfoil. So, just like that. Now when you remove these little pieces of tinfoil, you want to make sure that you actually cut all the metal. You don't want to end up trying to tear the little flap of tinfoil left where the window was. So if you try to tear it out, you're likely going to tear one of those delicate little roof pillars, or put a big ugly hole where there once was a fender or a door. This is the most time consuming part of building these vehicles. Sometimes it's easier just to leave the tinfoil pieces inside the vehicle. They'll come out later. Now that you have all the windows cut out, except for the back one, I'll cut that one out in a minute. Anyways, we'll cut out the wheel wells. So basically just get your knife in, same as with the windows, and cut around wherever the fender line takes you. There you go. Just like that. There we go. All trimming is complete. All four wheels, all the windows. So at this point you can finish pressing in the last of your details to make sure everything is the way you want it to look and nothing got misplaced or damaged while you're doing the cutting. Again, be very careful that you don't tear at the tinfoil because the roof is now held on by only 6 tiny little pieces, 6 or 8 little pieces of tinfoil. At this point you're going to want to carefully spread the tinfoil on the bottom. You may want to use your little hobby knife to pry it apart, just enough that you can get the Hot Wheel out of the cast, which is now the tinfoil. And the chassis will probably fall out first because we already drilled that apart. So there you go. Carefully, it's okay to bend the tinfoil a bit, it'll be pushed back into place, but there's one piece, and now the tinfoil. Now this is where you have to be very careful handling your new little tinfoil Hot Wheel because it is very easily crushed or disfigured. So with light fingers, oops, don't forget your interior. Put your interior into the Hot Wheel, onto the casting, base I should say, and carefully drop the tinfoil onto the car. At this point you're going to need to flip it over. And I can't really tip it over and show you because I'm going to lose the interior, but basically get the bottom of the car attached to the tinfoil with those little bumper flaps that you left. Just like that. And it may need to be straightened out a little bit once you're done attaching the body, but that's fairly easy to do. We got the body on, the interior in. Now you have to be careful handling these things, and it will have a few little dents that weren't in the casting by trying to get the thing on. But that's why you're making it of tinfoil. It's supposed to look a little damaged, so that's alright if you put a few dents here and there. Now you're probably thinking, that still looks like a tinfoil Hot Wheel. And it is a tinfoil Hot Wheel. A little bit of paint will make it look much better though. I recommend painting somewhere outdoors, otherwise you'll get high. So after a coat of paint, it'll look a little better. You may need to put a couple coats on because you will get some spotting where the paint pulls away from the tinfoil. But put on a coat of primer first and then your color. You could even detail it with some more paints. You can paint some headlights if you wanted, door handles, trim, put some silver on the bumpers. I personally don't spend too much time on it because I'm making so many of them. If you're building a Monster Jam arena or something, you're going to just need a bunch of cars that look like they've been painted. So typically that's what they do in real life. They just paint the whole car with a couple gallons of paint and they don't worry about the trim and the bumpers. So that's why these ones are pretty basic. Now this one obviously is not the tinfoil alone because I wouldn't be able to handle it like this. The castings underneath, it's a good way to preserve the vehicle and also reshape it once you've crushed it. You can carefully just wrap the tinfoil back over the original body and you'll get your shape back for a few more crushes. Uh-oh. That was fun.